Hello, everyone. This is Jack, the Obsessed Movie Man. If you followed me on TikTok and have come here, you know me as Riddle Me This 93. But we're just gonna get right to it then. This is my top five favorite films list of 2024. Now, I want to preface this by saying I only saw 8 films this year, so this is going to be a very peculiar list, would say. Um, a lot of films that I really wanted to see that I just didn't have the chance to see, like The Wild Robot. I didn't get a chance to see Transformers 1. Both were two really good. Flow, which is getting a lot of great praise. Conclave, I didn't see. Just so things like that, you won't be on this list, but we'll I think if you've been following me on my YouTube channel, you might have an idea of some of the things that will be on my list and some of the things that won't be on my list. So, let's get to it then. Starting from 5 to 1, with 1 obviously being my favorite. Here we go. The top 5 films of 2024. Number 5 is Inside Out. So, this was the only animated film I saw this year. And you can't go wrong with Pixar. Well, you can sometimes, but that's beside the point. Normally, you can't go wrong with a Pixar film. And I liked the first Inside Out film. This one, I may have liked even more. And I think the reason I like this more is because of the addition of the anxiety character and the depiction of an anxiety attack. Some of you know that I suffer from depression, and I also have massive amounts of anxiety, which is one of the main reasons why it's hard to pump out content on YouTube and sometimes even on TikTok, or just content in general. So I related to the stress that the character Riley was going through. I related to a lot of these emotions, and the anxiety attack scene in particular, while in my opinion not as great as the anxiety attack scene in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, was a close second to depicting the stress going through someone's mind when one is having an anxiety attack, and the rest is also great. I love the characters, even though some of them were recast, but that's fine, I guess. Um, yeah, great animation as always from Pixar. Lots of good jokes. But again, for me personally, the reason I put it on number 5 is because, well, one, well, something had to be at number 5, but two, I just like the depiction of anxiety. It's a concept that I'm learning more and more about as I experience it throughout my life, and I'm glad it's getting depicted in film, and for people who are younger, because a lot of young people go through it. So, Inside Out 2 is my number 5 pick. All right, number 4, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So, prior to this, I had seen the original Planet of the Apes that came out in the 60s, 70s, I don't remember, the one with Charlton Heston. I saw the Tim Burton Planet of the Apes, we don't really talk about that, and I saw Rise of the Planet of the Apes. I did not see the two sequels, so I was curious how I was going to, but I was still curious about this film because I have enjoyed I enjoy the concept of Planet of the Apes, and the other ones when I saw Rise, I was amazed with the motion capture performances, mostly by Andy Serkis. But this film didn't have that, so could it still live up to it? I was impressed. I loved the future that it depicted for civilization and mankind and apes. I was blown away by the motion capture and how they depicted the movements of the apes, and the fact that you could see like ridges and scars on their hands was incredible detail to me. Again, I love the culture of both how humans de-evolved and survived, and I liked how you see the apes talking kind of in a broken English, or it was fascinating to me to see the different portrayals of the chimps, the orangutans, and the gorillas. I think Proximus Caesar was a fantastic villain. Probably one of my favorite villains of the year, if not my favorite. And I'm very excited to see where the next installment goes with this. Yeah, not much to say other than I really need to binge watch the rest of them because everyone says at least the Andy Serkis ones keep getting better and better. And yeah, there really as a side note, there really should be a category of like recognition or an award for motion capture because it's an underappreciated art in my opinion. And while this is nowhere near as level as intense as Andy Serkis, the person who played, I think his name was, if I remember correctly, the character's name was Noah. He did a really good job. Yeah, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Go check it out, man or girl. Number three is Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, this was probably a no-brainer for superhero films because this was in my opinion, the only good superhero film that came out last year. Hopefully, this year we'll see a difference. I have enjoyed all the Deadpool movies and some of the X-Men movies. I think Ryan Reynolds was born to play this character. I think Hugh Jackman does a fantastic job as Wolverine, and even though Logan was a fantastic send-off to the character, I thought there was potential to team these two up together. This happens a lot in the comments, and they do handle the Logan situation very well. The comedy, I am shocked, amazed, and so happy Disney let them get away with the things they did. This opens the door for many possibilities for Disney as a filmmaking studio and for Marvel in general. I think the chemistry between Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman is fantastic. The action and blood is great. But there's also a heart about redemption, trying to find your place of being a hero. Like Deadpool's on a journey to prove himself as what his mind is as being a hero, and Wolverine is trying to make up for the sins of his past by being a better version of himself. I was worried that you were gonna have to have watched the Loki show to get what's going on in this film. No, not at all. You can totally pick up on this film and not be confused at what's going on. I thought the villain. Well, we talked about Proxima Caesar. I thought that Cassandra Nova was a good villain, and what's his name? Paradox was fun, and it was great seeing. I think I could talk about this because the movie's been out. So spoilers in case you haven't seen it. The surprise guest that showed up in this movie was a loving tribute, but they not weren't just winks and nods. The cameos were used like Blade, Elektra, Gambit, and even to an extent Johnny Storm. They were used to further the story and advance the plot. Also, X-23 is great as always. Daphne Keane. So I don't know what the future holds for Hugh Jackman or Ryan Reynolds. I hope to at least see more of Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. I don't know if Hugh Jackman's done or not. But yeah, this was a fun ride. I went to the theaters 3 times to see it, and each time the audience was roaring with laughter. So if that doesn't give it a reason to be on this list. I don't know what does. For number two is Nosferatu. Sorry, that was a lame joke. I just thought of it off the top of my head. I swear I didn't plan it. This was okay. So I'm a big fan of the 1922 Nosferatu film. It's one of my favorite silent films, especially silent horror films, and I'm a big Dracula fan. I know it's Count Orlok, but it come on, it's Dracula. I was okay. The best way I would say it is that I was not scared by this film, but I was very disturbed, if that makes any sense at all. I love the fact that you don't see Count Orlok right away, and it takes some time until you actually see Bill Skarsgård in full makeup. And I love the design. I don't care that they gave him a mustache. I'm okay for reinventing the creature, and plus Dracula had a mustache in the book, so that's fine. Um, Bill Skarsgård does a. I love his voice, the heavy breathing, like he's a corpse trying to stay alive. I love the the deepness of his voice too. But I think the real star of this, and Willem Dafoe is great as usual. He's been in a lot lately. Um, but the one who really stole the show for me was Lily Rose Depp. She captivated me. I could not stop being scared of her, being enchanted by her. I think she's the star of the movie. I think as in the she took stole the whole show, at least in my opinion. I love the cinematography. I love the haunting visuals. the shadows, even the music, like especially the music, the little music box kind of motif that's going on throughout it. It's pretty cool. As a Renfield fan, I thought that the Knock character was really cool. I was shocked and appalled by him, but I'm like that's kind of the Renfield character in general. Um, this was my first Robert Eggers film, at least seeing all the way through. They are hard films for me to watch, but I had to see what his take on Nosferatu was, and thankfully it didn't disappoint. And I'm glad Nosferatu came in at number two. Okay, I'll stop. I'll stop. And for the number one spot, I am giving it to Wicked, directed by John M. Chu. Now, I know this might not be on everyone's top list. It might be at least in the top five for some people. But I was there is a little like almost every film I do for these top five lists. There's a little bit of bias in here, as Wicked was the first musical I ever saw, like a big theater. I think it was the first thing I saw at the Pantages Theater in California, and it got me into theater, got me into wanting to do plays in general in high school. And I've always been a big fan of the Wizard of Oz story. I did read Gregory Maguire's book way too young. And I've seen the musical at least three times on stage. This is some movie I've been waiting for before it was even announced. But to talk about the movie itself, the technical craftsmanship that John M. Chu created for this world, like all the circular objects, the plants that they actually did plant for Munchkin Land, the designs of Oz itself, the makeup, it's a true authorship. This director's an auteur. Like if you watch the behind the scenes video of how he's planning everything out, he creates great bonds. He's directing these actors in such an amazing way that when they improvise, you you question when are they improvising, when are they not? Because I've seen behind the scenes clips where they talk about how Cynthia Erivo did start to cry during the Oztus ballroom stuff, and Ariana Grande comforting Cynthia Erivo was all improvised. The I th- I love the dance sequences. I love the music, and this was at a time when I thought I was almost convinced musical movies were dead, especially with the Mean Girls um, musical adaptation. I was very nervous about this movie coming out, and I was filled with so much emotion watching this movie. I don't cry, but I almost did at her in the Oz's ballroom, just everyone laughing at her. She's by herself. I love the fact that they built the giant Oz head. If you guys know me, you know that me and CTQ actually built our replica of the Oz head, which we don't have anymore, but we're thinking about bringing it back. Um, I don't know what they could have trimmed out to make it one singular film. I think it was a smart move to make it two parts. I'm very curious with how they'll adapt the second part of Wicked, the musical, because in the musical itself, the second act is not my favorite. It's kind of the weakest part, so I'm curious what they're going to adapt. I'm warming up to Jeff Goldblum a little bit, but I still think that he disappointed me just a tiny ounce. But Wicked, for me, was a truly immersive experience. I started to download some of the music, and I can't recommend it enough. It's fantastic. It's wickedly fantastic. I'm sorry for the pun, but it's true. It's a fantastic film, and I think it evoked feelings of old school Hollywood while keeping it fresh and new for a younger generation. So, Wicked is my number one film of 2024. Again, guys, that's my list for my top five favorite films of 2024. Probably not the most prestigious of films that will be mentioned, but I only saw 8 films this year, and that's not even counting the re-releases. Like I did see Kiki's Delivery Service. I believe Phantom Menace came out that year, and I did go see that. Yeah, that was when I did the Phantom Menace vlog. Um, but there's a lot of films coming out this year that I want to see. A lot of superhero ones like Captain America, I believe Fantastic Four. I know my most anticipated film of the year is James Gunn's Superman. So we'll see how that goes. Boy, do I hope that's good. But if you are new to this channel, if you followed me from TikTok to this channel, hello, welcome. We'll see if I can actually post some of my TikToks on here. If not, probably best you'll to find me on the Lemon 8 app under Riddle Me This 93. But if you're more interested in what I have to say about movies, I am on here. As the people who are already subscribed know, it takes a while for me to actually put content out, but I will do my best now that TikTok is gone and stuff like that. I do have some other ideas planned. I'm trying to figure out what movie I want to review next in my collection because sometimes I don't do just out of the theater reviews. I do reviews for other films where I go into the behind the scenes and stuff like that. So let's see. So here's a 2025, and let's enjoy the ride together. All right. Take care.